say is about Fargo. Fargo always reminded me of the works of Flannery O'Connor, who I think is the best Catholic fiction writer of the 20th century. If you read her stories, they're always very funny and very violent. And the juxtaposition of humor and violence just kind of shocks you. And they're also deeply spiritual, all her stories. They're all about grace. She said, we live in a time that's grown deaf to the word, deaf to the things of the Spirit. So you have to shout in a country of the deaf, you know? So her stories have this kind of grab you by the shoulders quality. When I saw Fargo, I kept thinking, Flannery O'Connor. It's a very funny movie. It's a laugh out loud funny movie. Things I still remember, you know, one-liners from it. And then it's a shockingly violent movie. And the juxtaposition really grabs you. But then finally, it's a very spiritual movie, you know? So it grabs you by the shoulders and wants to tell you something. The main character is one of the most impressively benign characters in recent movies. Marge, this police officer, who's unfailingly generous and kind and good-hearted and so on. She's massively pregnant in the movie, like 8 months pregnant. She's a life bearer. Marge is a law officer, you know. Her job, and her name sort of signals this, is to go out to the margins. She goes out to a lot of very marginal people and very marginal places, but with unfailing good cheer. Also, her husband's name is Norm, and Norm is a very ordinary, normal guy. So she goes out to the margins, and then she comes home to Norm at the end of the day. So it's like a symbol of the outreach, and then to bring people back to this rightly ordered, law-abiding, in the kind of spiritual sense, normal place. The character she can't get is the most nefarious one in the movie. The one who's murdered several people just to make a little money, as she says. At the very end of the movie, she shoots him, not to death, but shoots him in the leg just to stop him. She gets him in her police car, and the final scenes of the movie, really, she's driving back to town with this very nefarious figure. And she says, you killed all these people for just a little bit of money. I don't understand that. And I thought, that's the key to the title of the movie, Fargo. She goes out to the margins, that's her job, but this guy is just too far gone. He's Fargo, he's beyond the pale, that she doesn't understand the level of his evil. Nevertheless, she is even reeling him back. You know, if anyone in the movie is kind of a demonic figure, it's that guy. It's that very brutal murderer. Even he gets, in an odd way, reeled in at the end by Marge, who's bringing him back to norm, bringing him back to normal. And in fact, one of the last comments she makes is, and it's such a beautiful day, you know? And so the movie kind of ends to me on a hopeful note, that there is this agent of transformation, this lawgiver, this person willing to go to the margins to bring in those who have been alienated, you know? And in that way, she represents Christ. She represents the church at its best. She's able to go out to the margins, but she's not compromised by it. She's not drawn into that world. She's able to go into it, you know, in a very intense way. She's not afraid of it. Here's this 8-month pregnant woman who is walking into some of the most dangerous situations, but does it very blithely, you know? But yet she's not attracted to it. She's not drawn into its power. And that's what the church at its best ought to do. I train seminarians, that's my job. And people ask, what are you looking for in a future priest? I always say, someone who likes sinners. Someone who knows how to go into the world of sinners and live there comfortably. Not conforming to them, but being their friend and being able thereby to draw them into a better life. She's like a friend to those on the margins. And that makes her very much of a Christ figure, I think. There's Jesus consistently in the Gospels. He's the friend of the marginalized. And that's the church at its best, I think.